Welcome to the season premiere, season 6 of Whole Lot of Wolves. I'm Joshua Buckley with co-host Paul LePage.
Hello.
The great producer in New York City, Mr. Alex Patakis.
What's up, everyone? Good to see you.
And the man, the myth, the legend on Twitter, Mr. Danny Paletti.
Hello, all.
Well, guys, it's start of the brand new season, and we had heard, hey, lessons learned, the penny has dropped. But it seems to be that we are just having Groundhog Day all over again. So much so, Alex, that I had to break out the 57 proof whiskey tonight.
No surprise there. Come on.
Yeah.
You were doing that either way.
Mm-hmm.
Get ready for this.
Excuse me, not 57 proof, 57%.
Okay.
That
makes more sense.
Paul, I mean, what are we to take so far as we come up on Man City, and it's slim pickings in the roster?
It should be the most exciting time of the season off of a buoyant summer, relishing a really strong team coming to Molineux, thinking, okay, we could probably give them a game. But first up in the season, everyone pumped, and they can't even sell out the ground. So what does that tell you when it comes to ambition, comes to fans being priced out, it comes to putting a starting 11 on the on the field that's competitive? And as it stands, 1 to 11 has holes in it for sure. Up to this point, the case of having a staple right wing back for many years not be replaced is, I wouldn't say it's criminal, but it's really, really poorly planned. And I get the element of, well, it's like transfer window goes on till the end of the month. Can't really judge a window until it closes. I get that, but just for a change, why can't we be one of those teams that is cuter with their acquisitions? You know, it's obvious that we're not fishing in the same pond as the top six. It's looking like we're not even fishing in the same pond as the likes of Nottingham Forest and Everton with the players that they're linked with. So if we are looking at getting a squad together, putting out a decent 11 of players in that 10, 15, 20 million, probably 25 at the very most category, why can't we get all those ducks in a row sooner? It just, I generally don't get it. I don't understand how it can be thought of as an effective strategy. And we got a bunch of stuff going on. We got new front office people, and I get all that. But again, we've had football's leading agents supposedly at the helm with more control, conduit to these players coming in, with Tete, who was Vita's choice, and you've got that relationship. Even with all of that, we're going into that first game severely undercooked.
Alex, this happens every year that we're needing transfers to come in, and it's always right before the deadline. You're the one who follows American sports as much as I do. Can you imagine if this was like the NBA or the NFL, where they were like, okay, yeah, we have holes at like running back. We'll get those filled by the end of August. Or, yeah, we don't really have a center, but sure, we'll get one, before December.
Yeah, it's funny to think about all the NFL teams who are weeks into their training camps right now. And if there was such thing as this in American sports, someone being like, we don't have a starting quarterback yet, but by our bye week in week 4, we'll have one ready to go. Like, he would have studied enough and be ready to kind of take the reins. It's pretty ridiculous. No comparison like it here in the US for sure.
And Danny, people have started to talk about our slow starts since we've gotten back into the Premier League. And this is the reason why. I mean, it's almost like, why are we having a preseason? Because we're bringing in these players too late, and then we're expecting them to just jump in. Soccer is really one of the more that you need to be flowing as a unit. It's not like basketball or even baseball where you can throw somebody in there, okay, get your 5 at bats. Like, they need to know what's going on, and it just takes so long.
Yeah, it is distressing just because we know from past seasons how just a few games, especially last season, a few games with down results, and it can really change the vibe of the whole season and the attitude of the whole team. I think last year was like especially bad. We don't really expect to ever have a schedule like that at the beginning of the season. I will say one thing. I know the stat that's been bouncing around about how we've won once in August since getting promoted or whatever. But I will point out that that doesn't necessarily hold a ton of water with me when 2 of those seasons we finished 7th. So if winning in August is a predictor of where you will end up, I'm not sure that it terribly matters. The bigger thing is, like you said, getting the players in, getting the right players in. And it's, really kind of nerve-wracking to watch a season get started and know that we need, at a bare minimum, let's say 3 players. And I feel somewhat confident that we will sign 3 players or, loan in 3 players. But it's a huge difference whether those are 3 19-year-olds or 3 seasoned vets who can actually help the starting 11.
Alex, we had a no stupid question about this.
Yeah, Danny mentioned the 1 win in August that's been going around, but Chris Worsford pointed that out on X as well. The win percentage in August with that 1 win, because that's over a 7-year period for the month of August, is 5%, the worst record of all 92 clubs and the period within those 7 years. So effectively writing off the first 3 or 4 matches of a season. So I feel like maybe we answered this, but the question was, what could be the cause of this alarming trend? I mean, you could argue maybe last year that it was possibly different, and it was due to the fact that they just had an absolutely brutal fixture schedule. And we're also, I would add also just the fact that over the course of the past few summers, Wolves were constantly either getting used to a manager who finished out a season, saving them from relegation, or changing a system like last summer that we saw where we had this entirely new brand of football that we were going to play under Gary O'Neill. I think that's what makes this one particularly frustrating, is the fact that there was, the waters had been calmed at the end of last year with Vitor Pereira. Yes, we didn't end the season on fire, but we did have the 6-game win streak to put to bed any doubt of us getting relegated. And we had a brand of football that Wolves were playing again. He has a very distinct system that he wants to play. He's actually stuck to that for the most part, the principles of that this season. But all the turnover in the squad is now the main turbulence. So the one time that we actually get to continue on with the style of football that the players who are still remaining know how to play, the players who were most key to that aren't here. And the ones who will be filling their shoes eventually are not going to be ready, because regardless of where they're coming, they're not coming from within our own squad, because the ones that we've seen throughout the course of the preseason who are being put into those positions were not people that were here. I mean, you could argue, I don't think he'll be our wing back all season, but Keanu Hoover, yeah, he's one of ours, but he wasn't here. It's new to him as well. It'd be new to Hugo Bueno, even if he were staying and not getting, usurped by the Wolf, future Wolves legend Wolf. Or Wolfa, I guess I should say. So that's the really frustrating part of all of this, and that's the only thing I would add to Chris's question, which is a great one because it's pretty tragic.
What do you think, Paul?
It's a kicker that the transfer window definitely impacts, and I think there's been one season where it ended as the season began, and that was banished to all eternity from getting it voted away. So that impacts it, but it's just like the whole point of well, the season's not really going to start again until that first international break, and we're all going to be saying at that point, well, at least we've got this break in that the new players can come in and bed in. But again, it's the type of stuff that should have been done weeks ago, if not a month ago by now.
Well, we talk about the international break, but honestly, guys we should be targeting are ones that are on the precipice of being on their national team. And so they're going to be wanting to go with their team for the international break if they get the call up. I mean, the first international break, Joe Gomez and Andre are not going to be here. That's really the heart of the team right now. So it's just frustrating. Danny, what happened to the penny dropped?
I don't know that we can relitigate whether pennies have dropped or whether they were supposed to drop or not. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's funny, that whole phrase sort of took on a whole life of its own in a way, and I respect the fact that it sort of came out of a extemporaneous comment on a radio show, but at the same time, I think the reason why it's resonated with people, especially probably online, is just that it's kind of a persistent theme of the stuff that we're hearing from the club, whether that's through official channels or through the Express and Star or through Johnny Phillips, or, even that Sky piece that was done sort of, just after Wolves became safe-ish last season, where there's this idea that, we're going to have this complete revolution in the way that we do things. Matt Hobbs is going to go out. We're going to bring in these new people. And it just feels like more of the same. I'd love to be optimistic about it. I think at my core, I'm a fairly optimistic person, even when it comes to Wolves, but I just have yet to see something this summer that feels any different from previous summers.
And Paul, some of these players are coming out flat out. They're being approached and they're saying, no, I don't want to come to Wolves. Do you blame them after the chairman came out and said, if winning trophies is what you want, Wolves probably aren't for you? You're on mute.
I do take the link players with somewhat of a grain of salt, and it does always make me chuckle somewhat when you have this massive outcry if you do get one of those reports of someone allegedly turning us down. I do think for the most part, and this is more hope and a prayer, that we have been tended to be pretty good in terms of speculation being leaked of players that we're in for, even to the extent of Wolfie coming out with little or no speculation whatsoever. So I do take that with a grain of salt. But on the flip side, those comments and even the lack of comments and the whole lack of PR this summer. We're not a club anymore that's got that like heartbeat to us, that there's no real face of the club anymore to have that connection with when it comes to leadership. And Jeff Shee can jump on business podcasts and try and talk through that and do his best to come across it in the best light, but it certainly doesn't do that or add any faith to that match going fan who's putting their hand in their pocket each and every week that you've got a viable product on the pitch. So I think the PR overall really, really stinks.
Alex, a lot of people were super excited when they said Uncle George was going to be back in. And even now you keep hearing, oh, well, he got us Neves and Jota. I mean, look at all this. We're not the same club as when he was bringing in those players, are we?
No. I think that, those players came here under the pretense of a club that was rising through the ranks, and they were certainly doing so. But perhaps as victims of our own early success since being promoted, we're realizing that life in this league is very, very difficult for a club of our size if you don't have the right ownership, identity, plan, model, whatever it may be, really anything at all. And that's what we're lacking. So if we would have kept on that upward trajectory, and I'm not saying making Europe every single season, but just continue to be a club who could like finish comfortably mid-table, maybe a club who's not constantly cycling through managers, where every year at this time we're asking ourselves if the person in that seat is actually going to make it through the season in that seat, barring some type of ridiculous circumstance that would really make that difficult. I think there are still a handful of clubs in the Premier League that I think we oftentimes compare to Wolves, that I think for some reason, even if maybe they're going to finish in the same area of the table as Wolves might, and even if you put our 11 and their 11 on paper right now, you'd say, yeah, it's pretty comparable. I don't think you could say one is better necessarily than the other. That would seem a more attractive project, right? And I understand, and I'm not like, I don't want people to come after me. Like, Everton is a very, very, very historic club. They're opening a new stadium, etc. And I'm not saying that I wanted Wolves to get Jack Grealish, because believe me, I did. But like, you can get a player of that caliber who is still going to be useful. Like, we can make fun of him. We can make fun of what happened at City. It's all fun and games. He's a quality player, right? Like, and a player like that who still has something to prove probably would come to the table with Wolves anymore, given our current identity. So we like to fancy ourselves as, a lot of people think Brentford are going to be bad this year. I mean, ask yourself the question, right? Like, maybe their 11, you write it down right now, sucks. Aren't they a little bit more proven at selling players and still maintaining like a level of decency than Wolves are? Everyone's like, oh, don't worry, Brentford's going to be terrible. They'll be relegated. So even if one of the three that came up is really good, they're going to be bad. It's like, well, what tells you that historically? They got rid of maybe their best forward player they've had ever, sent him off to Saudi, and replaced that goal output within a heartbeat. So like, Buemo goes to Man United. I think they're going to hang on to Wisa, and that Kevin Schad guy is like really good. Like, I would almost rather be in their position than us, and everybody's tipping them for relegation.
And it is too bad, because we do have talent. Like, I really feel like João Gomez and Andre are one of the top midfields in the EPL. It's just, I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. We did get a couple of exciting guys. John Arias, obviously, who's going to come in. For Lopez, young, unproven, but he's looked pretty good in the preseason. And we already talked about Wolfie, who's coming in on left wing back. Danny, which of those three do you think is going to make the bigger impact?
I mean, I think it's got to be Arias. I think, in terms of just our goal output, I know people have been fretting about that, but to have a creator of his caliber, from what everyone's been talking about. I know that, a little while ago we reposted Tom Vickery's interview about him, and he's just really highly rated in South America, and somebody who was tipped to move to Europe a while ago, and through one thing and another ended up staying. And so I think we've got a bit of a deal on him because of just being a bit older than the big clubs like to take a gamble on someone coming over to Europe for the first time. But he seems really solid. And so I think of the three of them, I'm the most excited about him. The Wolfie thing is funny. I mean, I was just on a podcast yesterday that had 20 fans from all 20 clubs previewing the season, and they all wanted to talk about Ryan Aït-Nouri going, and I had to tell them, like, you cannot replace him. He's too unique. And so I think, I'm excited for Mahler Wolf. I think he's a really, workman-like player, but he's going to tick along. Like, the version of him being good is like we're maybe not going to notice him too much, an assist here and there, and otherwise locking things down.
Well, speaking of Arias, I did come out with some over-unders for the start of the season. I know this is Alex's favorite part of the show. So let's start off with the first one that I set, and that was John Arias goals at 9.5. Over-under, Paul?
Under.
Under. Okay. Alex?
I'll go over on this one.
Okay. Danny?
I'll say under, and I think it's a really good line because I think if it's under, then it's the struggle season we're all expecting. And if it's over, then we're probably not going to be too worried.
Interesting. Paul, what's your reasoning for under?
I think he'll be more of a creator and assister than Acuna was a goal scorer.
Okay. Interesting.
Positive hat on.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it looks like Saw is going to be in between the posts for this season, at least to start off. Over, under on Saw clean sheets. Keep in mind, he had double digits the first 2 years he was here. Then he had the awful season with 4. Last year he had 7, splitting time with Sam Johnson. So I set it at 8.5 clean sheets, Paul.
Over.
Over, okay.
Again,
Alex?
positivity.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I sounded really negative and I already took Arias to score 10 or more. I'm going to go over on this one as well. There is still some stability in the spine of the team, particularly with our midfielders. And I have to believe Agbadu just had like a roaring summer vacation that he's still hungover from or something. He's going to be okay. So over.
Danny?
Yeah, I'll say over. What are you guys worried about? 38-0 draws, and we're safe.
There you go.
Yeah.
38-0. Oh my god, that'd be the worst season. That would be almost like just send us down. By the way, I think over on Arias goals, and I'm gonna say under on clean sheets, just barely. I think he only gets 8. Okay, João Gomez yellow cards 11.5. This is kind of sitting about where he normally is, Paul.
Yeah, it's got to be over. I think he's guaranteed that second ban. What is it? It's the first one after 5 and the next one after 10.
Yep.
Yeah, so over.
Alex?
I'll go under on this one. Somebody should have a conversation with him about how truly indispensable he is. Not that he wouldn't notice that, considering he looks around the room and sees no one else in his position other than Andre, his partner. So I'll go under.
Danny?
Yeah, I have no idea. So I'm just going to go with what feels like the safer side of the fence to be on, which is over.
I'm going to take under. I think he'll get 11 because I think as he gets older, he's learning a little bit more not to get involved in stupid fouls. This was a hard one for me to set, Paul, and I really struggled back and forth, and I settled on Fer Lopez starts 22.5. This is only in league play, 22.5.
I am going over. I'm putting that positivity hat on again, and I'm going to say he'll turn into our Tyler Dibbling, but at a much cheaper cost than he would be.
Okay. Alex?
Going over. I don't think they have anyone else like him. I think he's thought of as a Sarabia type, but we all know he's much bigger and more physical. So I actually think physically he suits the Premier League well. So I'll go over. Plus, we're all waiting for them to buy another forward. That there's a real possibility that doesn't happen.
Yeah. And this line, that's what made this line hard, is not knowing if they had a number 10 in them. Danny, what do you think? Over, under?
I was going to say under, but I'll admit I've been convinced. I'm going to take the over based solely on the idea that they're not going to bring another person in.
Yeah. I feel bad because I feel like this needs to be under for his development. I'm so worried we're going to throw a kid out there who's got a ton of potential and he's just going to get beat up, much like Fabio, much like Trincao, some of these other guys. I wish he was going to be in the Sarabia role where he's the first guy you bring up off the bench. So I'm going to say under. I guess I still do have a little hope another number 10's coming in. I don't know. Mosquera starts, Paul. Keep in mind, Doc's been starting in the preseason a lot. So Mosquera starts 15.5.
Over. I think he's a little behind on his recuperation from that injury, but crossing everything that once that's over and done with, we get a pretty much full season out of him.
Alex?
I think I'm going to go under. I wouldn't replace Doc yet. I don't feel great about that just yet. I think something would have to happen, and he's pretty durable. He's pretty stable. And I'm not saying that Yerson isn't a more capable player physically, but there's something about Doc's experience behind whoever the hell our right wing back is going to be that makes me feel a little bit better knowing that he's both played that position and is likely able to assist if that person gets caught out. For instance, if we get a wing back who's pushing high, which is what we want. So I think he's going to be in that role for a good chunk of the season, meaning Mosquera will be under.
Mm-hmm. Danny?
I think you set the line really well on this because I think either scenario is an interesting season, in terms of these two players and their fates. I'm going to go over just because I think he maybe starts half the games or so, but I don't know. I mean, it's going to be super interesting. Like Alex said, I've come to feel very safe with Doc there. He actually did some really good things during preseason, and a preseason that didn't look that great.
Yeah, I'm going to say under as well. I think Doc holds on to it for a while just because of that experience he has there. Okay, this was a fun one. Up until the end of this window, not counting any, the end of this window, over under number of signings over the age of 23. I said 1.5, Paul.
Yeah, it's got to be under. I could see the players coming in. I could see, say, 3 maybe. 1 would be more of a mid-20s, later 20s starter, but the others are going to be under.
Alex?
This one's hard. I will say, I'm going to say over. I'm going to say that all the exciting players who oftentimes are around that age that we go for, we continue to get turned down by. And somehow we stumble into sensible signings like Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Josh Brownhill, players with experience who maybe aren't as sexy, but actually would just make a whole lot of sense right now. So
I would take Maitland-Niles in a heartbeat.
I'll be an optimist and I'll say over.
Danny?
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I'm gonna be weirdly optimistic. I don't really have anything to base it on, but yeah, God, we'll never sign someone as sensible as Josh Brownhill. It's not exciting, but it would be extremely sensible. But yeah, I think a backup center back, like a left-sided center back, they're going to tend to be older naturally, even if they're not necessarily going to even see any starts. And then maybe one of the other positions is someone over 23. So I'm banking on that too, being over 23.
If we sign a right wing back and another number 10 that are over 23, I'll feel way more confident.
Yeah.
In this season. Okay, now here's a fun one, Paul. Our first 6 matches, which are in August and September: Man City at home, at Bournemouth, Everton at home, at Newcastle, Leeds at home, and at Spurs. Over under on points through those first 6 games, 6.5.
I'm going under. I'll give you a total of 5, but the way those points could fall may mean that it's not that bad.
Okay.
So
Interesting. Alex?
I'm interested in the way that wouldn't be bad that those points fall. Would that be like a confidence-inspiring win against City, but then we lose against Leeds or something like that? Because that could go one of 2 ways. Should we just beat the teams we're supposed to beat and put up a nice fight against the teams that are probably better than us? I'm curious what your thought process was.
And I set this line before Everton got Jack Grealish, by the way.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll go under.
Mm-hmm. Danny?
I think what Paul's going for is if you get draws with the teams that are around you and then, fluke a win somewhere, then you probably feel pretty okay about the table. But I'm going to go over. I don't have, again, a ton of evidence to back it up, but maybe it's because I'll say exactly what it is. I sat on a podcast yesterday with 19 other fans, and there is some real doom and gloom amongst them. And I was given a front row seat to all the people that they wish that they hadn't sold. So I think, of Bournemouth, Everton, Leeds, even arguably one of Newcastle or Spurs, I think there are points in sort of all of those games except for City to be gotten. And obviously you only need a couple of wins and a draw. So I'll go over.
I'm going to say under. I think it's only going to be 4 points, guys. I hope I'm wrong. I don't want to start the season out like that. Ugh. Okay. I set the lines pretty well, right? Seems like
As
it.
always.
Everybody's happy with those. Just call me the bookmaker. We're going to look at season predictions now. These were the same categories that we had last year. So let's see what the answers are this year. Okay, starting with Paul. Top goal scorer and how many goals?
Top goal scorer has got to be Strand Larsen, but I feel a few less than last season, but a healthy 12.
12, okay. Alex?
Yeah, so I said over on Arias 9.5 goals, and I'm taking him as the top scorer. But I'm going to say it'll be like 11.
Okay. Danny?
I think Strand Larsen has more in him, especially if he stays healthy, which I think is the baseline assumption. So I'm going to say Strand Larsen 16.
16. I was going to say Strand Larsen 15. So me and Danny are kind of on the same path. Player of the season, Paul.
Andre.
Ooh, okay. Alex?
Yeah, your agreement here, Andre.
Okay. Danny?
We got a clean sweep of the three of us. I say Andre too.
It could be a farewell player of the season.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I think both. I think that's the case with both him and Zhao. I'm gonna stick with Zhao Gomez, but I mean, it's those two guys are by far our best players, for sure. Goal of the season. Who's gonna have the goal of the season, Paul?
this is going to be Arias's. I think that whole creativity, free kick taker potentially. If the club are giving free kick awards for goal of the season, which I am vehemently against, then I'm going to just have him based off of that.
Okay, Alex.
Yeah, I had the same thing written down. Arias, he's shown some of that ability on set pieces, which I think he'll be taking for us by default at this point. So I'll go the same as Paul.
Danny.
I really want to say Arias because it's the obvious one, but I'm going to just have a bit more fun with it and say it's going to be Rodrigo Gomez. I don't expect him to start frequently, but that crazy run that he went on against Leicester where
I was there.
where you were there for it, except he does that with the ball at his feet, something like that.
Let's get crazy. Fer Lopez.
Why not?
I think he'll get a game winner of some type, but hopefully it's coming off the bench, and I think it'll be a banger. So, okay, League Cup finish. This is the first cup competition. Paul, where are they finishing?
Quarterfinal.
Quarterfinals. Okay, Alex.
Whatever the round that we first play in is, I feel like we lose. It's too early in the season. It's in September. We're gonna put any of our new signings who need minutes in, and they're gonna be like, "Wait, I don't know what I'm doing yet." Yeah, it'll look like a glorified preseason game, which makes me think, yeah, we'll probably just be bounced right away.
Danny.
I should have looked this up before, but whatever comes before quarterfinals is the fifth round or whatever.
Okay, fifth round. I'm gonna go with Alex, a first round knockout.
Which I'm okay with. We got too much.
Even if we get knocked out by a championship team, or play a championship team,
as long as we get to play West Brom on the way there. Oh wait, they went out today, so.
Well. Okay, the FA Cup finish. Paul.
This is where I'm a Debbie Downer and going for the third round.
Third round is in first game that they have?
Our first game, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Alex?
I think we'll make it one past that. So I guess the fourth round of the competition, the Wolves second. We get one win and then get a bad draw.
Okay. Danny?
Yeah, that's same where I was at.
I'm gonna say quarterfinals. We seem to get a little spunky around.
Why not?
I mean, we probably could have made it there again this year if Cunha hadn't lost his fucking mind. So quarterfinals. Surprise of the season, Paul.
Are you talking about the
Anything. It can be anything.
I just based on Todd's questions.
Oh. What's that? Sorry.
So Todd, with no stupid questions, he sent in 2 that were related in this part. So the first one is, what do you think will be the most surprising disappointment this season? And the second one was, what do you think will be the most unsurprising achievement this season? So for the unsurprising achievement, I think we will be the Premier League's lowest payers in terms of overall wages. And most surprising disappointment will be that that exit in the quarterfinal of the League Cup will be on penalties.
Oh, okay. Alex?
Surprising disappointment is going to be the fact that I hate to say this because it doesn't endear us well, but I think like the diehards will really agree with this. Like, I just don't think Molineux is going to be like much of an atmospheric place at all much of the season. In fact, I think some of the damage that Fosun continues to do is going to further impact that environment. We've seen they already have not sold out the Man City match as of recording this, and that's a season opener that people have been waiting months for. So I'm going to say the disappointment is that atmosphere we all fell in love with and dream of is going to be gone. And then the most unsurprising achievement of this season. Oh, that's a good one. I will say that we will have another near record sale for Wolves lined up, ready to go in like May of this time of next year. It'll be one of our 2 midfielders. So if that's an accomplishment, if that's our business model, then that will be an accomplishment of itself. And it wouldn't surprise me much at all. Paul hinted at Andre. Yeah, it'll be that like he's like on his way to Liverpool by the time the season even ends.
Brutal. Danny?
Todd, why do you have to do this to us? Most surprising disappointment. Come on, man.
But see, that's what makes it difficult. Is there really anything that would be surprising?
What could I be surprised at by now? You know, I don't know. I mean, I was thinking something along the lines of, and this is almost too depressing to speak into existence, but you know, a semi-long-term injury for one of our more sturdy players like Andre. You know, my prediction about player of the season notwithstanding, something like that would be both surprising and extremely disappointing, although not necessarily anyone's fault. So maybe that makes it a little less depressing. And most unsurprising achievement this season, I think, you know, Yerson Mosquera getting over 3 either, you know, yellow cards or red cards for things that aren't strictly fouls, that are, you know, more in the wind up category. You know, thinking back to his game against Arsenal last season.
People use the term ass grabbing, but we're talking literal ass grabbing.
Yeah, that would be extremely unsurprising and also kind of an achievement if it was something that like got talked about on national media.
I'm going to say most surprising disappointment would be that Fabio is still here
Oh my God, please
after
no.
the transfer window closes, and he ends up leaving on a free at the end of the year because he refuses to re-up his
Oh
contract.
my God.
Most unsurprising achievement, we're going to sign someone super exciting, and then he's going to get hurt within the first 3 matches.
Oh,
that's
why would you?
very
Come on.
Wolves.
Yeah.
Because it's Wolves. Because it's Wolves. Come on. I would be like, they're going to sign Yunus Musa, and then he's going to get hurt like a match in, just like Sasa. Okay. And last but not least, the finish in the table, Paul.
If you can be positive about this, it's 15th.
Okay. Alex?
I've like gone back and forth a million times just between 17th and 18th. One would obviously beg a much bigger discussion than the other. We don't have time for that, so I'll say 17th instead.
17th. Oh, God. Danny?
I thought I was being positive, then Paul went for 15th. I was going to say 16th.
Yeah. Golly. I think it's going to be 17th, and I think it's going to be close.
It really depends on what happens the next.
I mean,
couple
yeah,
weeks.
they could come out of nowhere. Who knows? Uncle George comes through. In comes a big stud number 10 who we didn't see coming. That'd be Juan Sanchez decides from Sevilla. Forget Napoli. I'm coming. You never know. I'd be willing to say they'd be top, but no, 17th. And speaking of
just in time.
Just in time. It is our boys from the Noisy Neighbors. It is Molv and Joey. How you guys doing?
Down, 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 now.
There's a whole lot of wolves.
Down, down,
There's a whole lot of wolves.
down, down.
There's a whole lot of wolves.
Hey guys,
Hey
Bravo,
guys,
guys.
Hello.
Bravo.
how you doing?
Love it.
best
Well-
theme tune in the business, lads.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, it's been a very interesting summer for us, but also for you guys. A little bit of changing of the guard. So kind of talk to us through the main departures like De Bruyne and then some of your arrivals.
Brother, we did a podcast on Sunday and it's already out of date. Like,
Is it Grealish?
as soon as we got done, like the Savinho to Spurs thing comes out, and then now there's everything going with the keeper. I have no idea what that's going to end up like, but yeah, it's a turnover that's probably needed to happen for a year. Like this probably should have started last summer, which sounds weird because you're coming off of the back of 4 in a row, but like that's the same squad that's been together for 7 years, I think, for the most part. So De Bruyne is gone. That stings. Grealish gone now. We're not done. I don't think we've got to clear out space for squad quotas, right? So we'll see. We've got. I mean, we did a lot of business in January, so that was nice. We kind of started the refresh there, but now we've got Cherky, Aït-Nouri, Reinders, potentially Donnarumma. It sounds like. So I have no clue. Like I'm excited for it, but it's the first big refresh we've had in a long time. So there's gonna be a lot of question marks out there, and I think the biggest one is going to be how many of these players can figure out what Pep Guardiola wants from them and actually make it happen. You know what I mean?
You're hoping they're smarter than Matheus Nunes is what you're saying?
You talking one of the best right backs in the league, Matheus Nunes, dude?
Y'all are about to
Right
spend
back?
y'all are about to spend $50 million on a keeper. Can't you send some of that some of that money our way and just
We
like
did for Nunes.
spend 50
no,
million on the
some
keeper.
on the top as a finder's fee for Ryan Nori so we could sign Eddie right back.
Yeah,
And
haven't we given you like
not
100
Nunes.
million the past 2 years?
Yeah, we've blown it. We've blown it.
Don't look at me, brother.
We gave you a deal on 8 Nori.
Yeah. Yeah, from what we've seen, I think Mulv would agree with this. From what we've seen this summer, like, that guy's a freak.
Yeah, we've already seen him play a handful of times in the Club World Cup and in the preseason. I would rate his performances anywhere from good to absolutely brilliant. Gives us an actual left back that we haven't had since maybe Gael Clichy. So maybe
Right.
going
All
near
disrespect.
okay, going on near a decade without a proper left back. Pep has managed, though, as you well know. I think we were running Fabian Delph out there for a bit. We did spend loads on a left back, but we don't mention his name anymore. So yeah, it's nice to have a proper fullback in. Obviously, to be determined how he's going to gel and everything. But from what we've seen, an extra option going forward, and maybe you sort of unlock the left winger. I would have loved to have seen Jack Grealish with an 8 Nori behind him.
Yeah.
Before we shipped him off. So, yeah, really exciting player. Really good on the ball. Essentially a midfielder on the ball. Let's see if he can defend well enough to hold down that spot. But by all accounts, looking great so far. So we got sort of double Wolves fullbacks going at the moment, which is exciting.
Maybe that was the mistake. You guys weren't using Nunes as a right back, you know?
What do you
We thought
want?
his ears would have a little too much drag on it.
We've worried about that. That's why you tuck him inside, buddy. You know?
What do you want? We bought him off of a bakery in Portugal. That's where he was working before he went to
That's what happens with all those Portuguese connections you guys got. You know, you can go to the best bakery in Lisbon and be like, we found a guy. I think we're going to moneyball our way into this. This guy's he's just doing croissant. We're going to bring him in. Yeah.
Excellent.
So, what are you guys' expectations then for this season?
Better than last year, Mulv? I don't know.
Yeah. You asked me this question last time I was on your show. And I think I made a distinction between like the club's expectations, right? And the club's leadership's expectations, which are always going to be win everything, right?
Yeah.
They've invested so much in it. They've got the best manager, the best board of directors, and by oftentimes the best players. So their expectations are we want everything. But considering what the success that we have had, like Joey mentioned over the last 7 years plus, I would say, I think it's only right that we get a chance to retool and assess what is right now a pretty large squad, and let Pep figure out. He likes a small squad. So he will be, I think, this season looking to see who his guys are going forward.
Yeah.
And let's give him the opportunity to do that. And, I would say, based on what our rivals have done in the transfer market, made some really, really good signings, particularly in Liverpool. And, I would expect us to make a title challenge, but wouldn't be surprised if we fell just short. Based on Liverpool being the current champions and adding and strengthening. And I'm going to pass it over to Joey for another team that he rates quite a bit. So
yeah, I got a weird feeling about Chelsea. I will say, we said this last year on our show. Arsenal better do it. Like last year they spent a ton of money, and City were bad. And they still couldn't win the league after Liverpool did nothing. It was the same team. It was the same team as the year before. Arsenal couldn't top them. This year they've spent more money and they've brought in Gyökeres. He better be the guy, because if he's not, heads should roll, but who knows? They're kind of deluded or delusional. Yeah, but I got a weird feeling about Chelsea. I like Maresca. Mulv and I were talking on our show the other day, and I feel like Maresca got all the good parts from Pep, and Arteta took all the dumb ones. Because Maresca seems to be putting together something that makes some sense. I love the addition of Delap. We wanted him back at City desperately because he's a bowling ball of a man, and he's insane in the press. Like he just doesn't he doesn't let his foot off the gas ever. And I don't know, Holland just can't do that 60 matches a year, if he's the only guy. But yeah, Cole Palmer's been outstanding since he's been there. Obviously, the addition of Delap. We'll see what happens with who are they in for now? Xavi Simons, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't know. I just like the makeup of the team. I think they're still a goalkeeper short. I don't particularly think Sanchez is that guy. But yeah, I don't know. I've got a weird feeling. I think there's going to be a lot of cannibalism at the top, and it's just a weird gut thing that I think Chelsea might pull this off. I think I had like Chelsea, City, Liverpool, Arsenal as a top four. And then United were, I think one of you guys said Wolves was going to be 15th, and I think you're selling yourself short. United's got 15th locked up. You guys can have 14th.
We would take 14th in a heartbeat right now.
Wow.
I want it for you. I thought we were going to be 14th at one point last season. So what,
I know we're already done with our predictions, but I do think that, this is going to be a season that has a lot of action, both at the top and the bottom. I think that, like you said about Chelsea, obviously Liverpool have strengthened to a ridiculous degree. Yeah. And I think you guys have shored up the places that you need to shore up. And so at least those three, are going to be in the hunt for a while. And then the bottom, the less said about that, the better. But there's a lot of, let's say, mid-table teams that might be very, very happy to achieve mid-table this year, including maybe ourselves.
Can I ask you guys a question about, because we're talking about just kind of bottom and middle of the league. What do you guys like? What's the vibe around like a team like Sunderland coming up and spending, what is it, 130 million or something like that on players? Like, is that because there's teams in the Premier League that can't/won't do that have been there for, Fulham's not going to go out and splash 115 million on players. Like, is there any like animosity that comes from like, well, how the hell are these guys able to spend this kind of money?
Paul's got a good answer for this.
Okay, well, yeah, go for it.
It's a weird precedent in that they've got that funds to spend.
Right.
They haven't got the PSR headaches or any of that. Like Burnley were the team that were doing bits last summer.
Yeah.
Not Burnley, was it? No, Ipswich.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And look how that turned out. And they were signing players like O'Shea that we were supposedly in for, and everyone was gutted that we hadn't bought Dar O'Shea, and look how that turned out. So that
shout out Ireland
to it. And I watched like fleeting amounts of the Championship last season. I really did.
Yeah.
But Sunderland weren't very good.
No.
And you need that influx of players just to try and compete. And this is the team, like they got into the playoffs, but they didn't set the world on fire. So I think it could be like, we could see this could be the 1 year where you've got that one team that might do something, but there's a horrible nagging feeling amongst Wolves fans and maybe from some other teams in our spot that our front office thinks that all we've got to be is better than three other teams.
Yeah.
And that's a horrible position to be in, because you could be on a par with them, and one could just have that breakout.
Well, and when is it really three teams? Because United was 5 points off.
Yeah.
It's three teams. Like,
I was reminded everybody about how
I don't care what show I'm on.
You know what though? Our esports team could kick y'all's ass.
Yeah, my dad could beat the shit out of your dad, dude. Get out of here.
when the official Twitter account is tweeting esports like highlights and everything, we know
That
it's
goes over real
not
well.
going well.
Oh, that's not chill amongst the fan base. Huh? They're not like, yes,
Esports champions. You'll never sing that.
exactly.
never
Another
see
trophy in
that.
the cabinet, baby. Esports champions of Europe, dude.
Yeah, I heard a thing recently that maybe is not something that concerns fans of City too much, but I think sort of touching on your question about what we think about the teams coming up is that like we have this situation in the last few years where the teams that come up go right back down, and also the teams that go down often come right back up. So for the teams like Wolves or West Ham or Fulham or whoever, I think the owners can see that there isn't much risk to not spending, that even if one of the teams that come up manages to stay up and you go down, you're going to be right back anyway. And really the smart money is on those three teams going right back down. And so there's a lot of like potentially reluctance to spend amongst those teams that like, yeah, we're not as good as we were. And West Ham thinks they're not as good as they were or whatever. But like what is really the risk? And like, that's the thing that'll make, the rich owners spend money, is if they think that there's like an actual risk. And so something that could change that paradigm is, one, obviously a team staying up, and two, a double relegation. Teams who drop out of the Premier League and then immediately drop to League One, that'll scare a Premier League owner. But like seeing Southampton or Norwich come up, every other year, it isn't going to freak them out. They're like, okay, we'll bake those parachute payments, come right back up, no problem.
I just wonder how much of that mentality is going to shift, because you're seeing a lot more money get pumped into the second division.
Definitely.
Leeds have 49ers owners and Red Bull. I mean, it's a sponsorship, but like, what are we doing? Like you're branded as Red Bull England. Like let's not act like it's something it's not. Burnley's got money. Sunderland have, I think they've always had a okay amount of money, except for that first season of Sunderland Till I Die, where it was real bad.
Birmingham have Tom Brady and whatever rhino horn milkshakes that he's bringing. Yeah,
which you guys had any rhino horn recently? Yeah, so I just wonder if that trend's going to continue, where like retired insert sport here star guys are just going to find some other super rich guy and go buy a club in the second division, and then be like, oh, all we got to do is pump this thing full of cash. I mean, they all watch the Wrexham show and they're like, bang, easy.
Wrexham changed everything.
I hate Wrexham.
The success that they've had now.
I
don't think they're going to have it here in the Championship.
I hate them. Cheats. I hate them.
Boy,
it's so rich. It's so rich from this guy.
It is. It's not rich. That's Harry the Haddock, right? That's Harry the Haddock right there, dude. As a shareholder in Grimsby, this is bullshit. They're just down in the National League paying players that are 3 divisions above them to come in. That's crazy. And no one else can do it. That's wild.
Yeah, I bet you guys saw Deadpool opening weekend though, didn't you?
Absolutely not. I don't go to the movies.
Oh.
I don't want to deal with kids. They yell, they make noise. I can't hit them.
You can hit them.
No, not anymore. We used to live in a society. Yeah. Anyway, I was just wondering, because like I think that kind of whole deal is shifting. So I wasn't sure. I don't know, just kind of where your heads are at on that, because I don't think we're done with it. I mean, isn't Gareth Bale in with somebody trying to buy Cardiff?
We take him at right wing back at this point.
No, yeah, for real. You'd probably get a good 10 games out of him. He'd score 4.
We'd take it. Take it.
Yeah, hell yeah. Mateus Nunes or Gareth Bale, rank the right backs. Go.
Gareth Bale.
Yeah, true.
Do you guys have somebody that you can loan us here at the end of the window that'll be a starter for us? Since we've screwed it up with Tommy Doyle, do you have any more of those lying around?
Sorry, what happened with that?
Well, our manager doesn't really like him that much. So now he's
hanging out with Tom Brady, drinking.
Yeah, he's hanging out at Tom Brady.
Really?
So he's a baller? Like, what is the issue? The guy's a Rolls Royce. We loved
him too. Paul
loved
loved
Tommy
him a
Doyle.
lot, but Vitor not so much.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So we already loaned out
Can I
Vitor
interest you
Heiss.
in a Calvin Phillips or?
Yes.
I think we've
What
sold
about-
him already.
I
No.
don't
Did
don't
you
know
already? Did you
Who
already loan
knows?
Trafford back out?
Oh, we got to figure that whole thing out, dude. That's
That was
I mean, if you
stupid
signed
move by
Donnarumma-
Trafford. Like, what are you doing? You could have been
well,
the first starter for Burnley and gotten a big move next year. I don't understand why you did that this year.
So I think the original plan was Trafford comes in, and if Ederson stays, he sits behind Ederson for a year, figures out what Pep wants, and then he's the guy. I mean, he got the number one. Like, it's not. I mean, it was pretty nailed on to all of us. Like, okay, well, this is what's going on. This whole Donnarumma thing, I don't know. I don't know how you pass up a generational talent like that when it falls in your lap, because like the guy's getting pushed out by his own team. He's got a year left on the contract. They have no bargaining power. And Erling Haaland wants him. So you go get him, I think. You know, it sucks because that kind of shunts anything Trafford would have had. But I don't know. It's just a weird situation. Like I'm gutted for Trafford because guy gets to come home and we're all pumped on it, and 2 weeks later you're just watching it swirl down the drain. Because I mean, he'll get the cup matches, but he'll probably start this weekend actually, because if we're selling Eddie, he's not playing. So it'll be Trafford and Marcus Bettinelli.
Hell yeah.
Just be lucky Scott Carson's gone, or you guys would be royally screwed. The vibes would
We're
be
already
off the
royally
charts.
screwed. What are you talking about?
No, you don't understand. You ever seen Scott Carson in a Stetson? Woo! What a freak. Yeah, hopefully no more. I hope we're done with wacky transfers now. Like, get this Donnarumma thing done. I don't think either of Mulv and I want Savinho to go. Like, he's been here for a year. I don't think I'm really ready to sell him yet. And I don't know where I'm at on Rodrigo. Like, do you have an opinion on him at all, Mulv?
I mean, he's an immediate upgrade.
Yeah.
But I'm always leery of buying anybody from Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Based on what, the clowns that ended up at United and Casemiro and
Varane.
Oh, Varane, yeah. Now that may say more about Man United than it does about those two players, but I mean, it's become a bit of a graveyard, hasn't it?
Man United, the MLS of the Premier League, go.
But and you see so much potential in Savinho. Like, he literally does look like a Mahrez regen.
Mhm.
But the end product, we haven't seen it yet. But then again, he's 21?
Yeah.
And he's only been here 12 months. So I'm torn. Like, I'd be happy either way, I think. If we ended up now, I would want a replacement if he goes, right?
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure how the numbers would work because we're already at our foreign player quota.
Yeah.
We're at the max. So it went from very quiet to like super, super loud in like 24 hours.
Stop bragging.
It's not necessarily good.
You know what it happens when it's not quiet for us? It's so and so said no to Wolves.
Yeah.
Rejected.
Yeah.
A lot of times we get thrown into stories just because like some agent's twerking for another club. So like they'll be like, "Oh, City's interested," and we're like, "No, we're not. What are you talking about?"
We got rejected by Florian Wirtz, but that's because he got a look at our third kit this season.
Yeah.
And said, "Yeah, that is a disaster."
Yeah, it's not all great over here. I don't know if you guys have seen this.
Don't Google Man City third kit.
If you do it in an incognito tab, because it's it's not safe for work. It's really bad.
So Puma is our kit manufacturer, and they always try to do these like Manchester tie-ins, and sometimes they hit, but a lot of times they miss.
Yeah.
And the tie-in to Manchester is the Manchester Rain.
Whoa.
It's just that it's wet. It's a gray kit with water on it.
Water drops on it.
And then like neon green.
It's the
Somebody
worst
get a
kit.
squeegee, baby.
The
It's
worst
so
kit in Premier
bad.
League history.
It's
That's
I was
pretty bad.
I was in our Discord and I was talking to some people and I was like, dude, I've never seen a more blatant attempt to make the sauciest players on the planet look like bums.
That away kit you guys have, the black one. Woo,
That thing
that's
slams.
nice.
It's mint. Yeah.
I've got that with Foden on the back.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a good
You
one,
have to
right?
pay $80 million in tariffs like Wolves fans are having to do.
I don't think so. Did I? I
saw
have no idea.
one instance of that. But I think the place where the kits are coming from, there's
Yeah.
not a tariff. But depending on, there are some items that the City Shop makes that are coming from places where there are tariffs. So it's sort of hit and miss.
Because I think mine came from like Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just comes on DHL. And
He's
then
just making them in the, in his office.
Yeah. In between meditation sessions.
Yeah.
He goes out, sits in the snow, comes back in, presses numbers.
I can't stop looking at this kit.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said anything.
No, you're gonna have to.
There's literally why Florian Wirtz said no to us.
Yeah, 100%.
I wish that they'd come out in that on Saturday.
Oh, if they do, I'm gonna slam my head through a brick wall. Live on Instagram. On the Noisy Pod Instagram.
Congrats on the 3 points if we come out in that kit.
Yeah.
It's got that vibes of Man United at Southampton.
Yes. Yeah, we have to change at halftime.
Yeah.
The grey kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
My only thought is, so we've had a few kits that are cursed. I don't know if you guys have those, but like there's kits that you can't wear. They're cursed. We always play bad in them. So we had the one from Puma that they just took the crest off of. Super cool idea. It just said City across it. Man City across the chest. It was dog water.
Awful.
And then we had a few other ones that were just unlucky. My fear is we ball out of control in that gray one.
No chance.
It shouldn't be possible. If there's a just and loving God, we'll get slapped around 8-1. The first time we wear it, we never wear it again.
Good night. That'd be
I
great.
kind of hope they wear it when it's raining.
Oh, and make the visibility even worse? I don't think so.
Yep.
Yeah, thank God Stokes not around. Could you win in that kit in a rainy night in Stoke? No shot. Ugh. Although we should send you guys some of those kits. That'd be a funny bit.
We'll try anything.
Just with Nunes on the back.
Just with Nunes on the back. Yeah, 100%.
No. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. You're always one of our favorite, or two of our favorite guests to come on all the time.
Thank you.
So appreciate you guys.
We're not wishing you good luck Saturday. After that,
fair enough.
Take care of our boy Aitnery. We like.
Oh yeah,
we'll do.
You can kick him under a bus, but Aitnery, take care of him.
Yeah. We'll see if we can get him something shiny.
There we go.
All right, guys. Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Oh shit! How do I leave?
Funny, that's how a lot of Wolves players also say. Shit, how do I leave?
Something Geddes was saying up until
that
just
was definitely what Geddes was saying. I'm sure Fabio's saying it right now. All right, guys, you heard from the noisy neighbors for Man City, who Wolves are playing on Saturday at 11 or 12:30 Eastern, 11:30 Central. So let's hear those match predictions. What do we got, Danny?
So it's weird. I feel like weirdly, I wouldn't say optimistic, but it feels like this is the best time possible to play City. I think the players have barely unpacked their bags from the Club World Cup. I just think they really haven't had a ton of time. And I also think that, preseason games don't matter, blah, blah, blah. But I think there is something to the fact that we played a bunch of teams that were willing to let us have the ball, and maybe in a more counterattacking situation, we might be able to not win, but look a little bit better. So that's my preface for saying that my ultra optimistic prediction is that we lose 1-0.
What? That is optimistic. Alex?
3-0 City. I don't know where the creativity and goals are coming from, and they're going to find a way to turn it on. They will.
Paul?
I'm going for the ultra optimistic loss as well. 3-1. It'll be 2-1, pushing for an equalizer, but get hit on the break.
3. Yeah, you said 3-0, Alex, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I was thinking 3-1 as well, Paul. I think Arias kind of pulls something late to at least, we got a little bit of hope, but until we bring in people like Hoover's just going to get his lunch eaten. I don't know what, I guess, is Medetti? Does Lopez start? I don't know. So yeah, 3-1 City. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm still, Paul, are we going to cry together? Are we going to embrace and just cry at the end of that match?
It's too early for that.
Too early for that. Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be if they lose to Leeds at home. That'll be tears.
No Stupid Questions is brought to you by Esfuerzo Wines. Located just north of Santa Barbara, California, Esfuerzo Wines showcases passion and 3 generations of winemaking in every bottle. Whether you're toasting some Vino de Vitor or winding down after a day of work, let Esfuerzo Wines transport you to the heart of wine country with each sip. Now at esfuerzowines.com, you can use the promo code VITOR, that's VITOR, at checkout to receive a 30% discount off your order. And don't forget to try the special edition 1-pack wines to show your passion and support for Wolves with each glass. This message is intended for those of legal drinking age. Do not drink and drive. Excessive alcohol consumption may be harmful to your health. If you or someone you know is struggling with alcohol abuse, please seek help. Esfuerzo Wines reminds you to enjoy their product responsibly and in moderation.
A number of ways you could send us all your questions that are related to Wolverhampton Wanderers. You could do so on X at WLWpod. And you can do so via email. hello@wholelotofwolves.com is the show's address. And if you are watching live on the stream, you can always go ahead and throw a No Stupid Question in the chat function. And we can address that one right away. Thanks to our friends at Esfuerzo Wines for bringing you No Stupid Questions again for the 6th season of Whole Lot of Wolves. So let's get to Drew's question on X. Drew Breyer, Drew Freakin on X to be specific with the handle. How is it possible that the owner of the Pittsburgh Pirates is only the 2nd worst ownership situation of the teams that I actually follow? I don't know how the Pirates are doing, Josh. I'm assuming you may know, but I take it pretty.
I mean,
poorly.
look, there's somebody I think they've never given a $100 million contract to. I'd have to look. Maybe it was Brian Giles. They gave something like that too. But yeah, just very low paying. Definitely takes that revenue share money and just sits on it and then claims broke. I don't think they're worse than Vosen because we have a better esports team.
I tell you who's worse is DC United. I haven't been really an active fan of DC United since I was a kid and you could actually go to games. But let me just put it this way. If the social media manager for Wolves pulled the kind of stuff that the DC United social media manager did, there would be actual riots in the city of Wolverhampton. So DC United having a famously bad season, just losing time after time after time against teams that are awful. And I think it was their 11th loss of the season, minutes after the game was over, they put out a tweet saying some record that they broke in terms of the number of hot dogs sold during one game. Can you imagine if, like, you know, in the midst of Gary O'Neill's worst run, if they're like, good news, everyone, we sold over 3,000 pies today. like there would be actual violence on the streets of Wolverhampton if they did that. That's what's going on with DC United.
That would be incredible.
How about Stu's question on X? Did you ever expect to be this angry and annoyed when you chose this silly team? Again, I don't know, Paul, this team maybe chose you. So
yeah, I was going to say, Paul doesn't have a choice here.
I get a pass, but I just think back to Nate Hughes's Neophytes episode and that Leicester City game and how far we've fallen from everything that went with that fixture. Like the entertainment, the hat trick, the players on the pitch, the crowd, the limbs with the winner. the noise. It's like everything feels like a million miles away from that now.
I will say I started following when obviously Wolves were on the upswing. But I'm used to this stuff. Look, guys, I have my Chicago Cubs World Series thing back here. It was not all sunshine and rainbows before that or after that. Chicago Bears, same thing. But I will say this. I am still happy to be a Wolves fan. And especially after going to Molyneux, I love the squad. No matter what, it's heartbreak. I feel like we knew this. My cousin even said when I was explaining, oh, you picked the Chicago Bears of soccer in England. Yes, I did. But you know what? I'm glad I did. For all of you guys that are listening and all of the people in Wolverhampton. And Paul.
Danny, I don't know if I ever really classify you as angry, but probably annoyed at points. Is that fair?
Pretty annoyed. I think that, for someone who came from not like a deep sports supporting family, like we were much more like, go to University of Maryland soccer games kind of family, just like I think I wasn't prepared for the kind of like disappointment that you can feel with an ownership. Again, like the best ownership is one that you're not thinking about. And when I started to follow Wolves, that was very much the case. It's one of those things where you are like the ownership, the fans, the players, the coach are all in alignment. And so everything good that the players and the coach do sort of gets reflected upon them. And then the bad owners, which maybe Wolves now fall under that category a bit, always want the best things to reflect upon themselves, like the whole, points and then pints situation last season and sort of trying to reflect in that glory. But it's just now there's this weird feeling of like, even if things are going well, what way are they going to find to disappoint me in the future with their decisions? And I hope that reverses. I mean, it's the same. It's at least one of the same people. They can get back to a point where we are not noticing them potentially and just having fun, and Vitor's success is reflected upon them, which is what happens in sports. But hoping for better days. We'll say that.
Yeah. I would say I didn't expect to, and it's not that I thought things were going to be particularly great. I just, I guess at the beginning, I didn't think I would care as much. So in a weird way, it's a good way, but then also in a really sad way, it's kind of like you're stuck. So, yeah, I think my main thing is like, I don't really need the wins. I just love like the ride, right? Like the entertainment that came along with like having hope. I would say I'm mostly just envious of teams who do have ambition. And ever since Jeff Shee made those comments about Wolves not being for you, if you were looking to compete and be in Europe and etc., that really crushed me, right? Because like I'm one of those people who will just be like, all right, well then like what's the point? Like what are we even doing? And it's very hard for me to like look past that and forget that. But here we are, and I'll continue to, and I'm sure at halftime on Saturday, I'll find a way to talk myself into having hope about this season when it's like 0-0 or something like that. And we'll do this all over again. But I have never, at least in my time falling in love with this club, felt as apathetic about it as I do now, which I think is
great saying, apathetic.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who've done this many times. They're like, okay, I've felt apathetic for the last decade, like, or 2 decades or whatever. But that is the one that's like creeping me out a little, where I'm just like, I can't usually as we're sitting here recording, doing our first show in a while, like our first full show with everybody, getting ready to watch our version of a primetime kickoff on the opening day of the season, I would be absolutely ecstatic. Like, even if I knew we were just walking into a buzzsaw, right? Like I was so excited last year going into that Arsenal game. I was like, we've been playing great football. We're going with the back four. We're getting goals. Like we're going for it. Let's do it. And now I'm just like, what are we doing? That's the tough one. But
yeah.
All right, we'll continue on with some of these questions. Chase Branch asked us on Facebook. This is a fun one, or maybe the opposite of that. How would you rank the brief tenures of the 4 managers in the post-Nuno era? Is Lodge top simply based on that 10th place finish? Does Lopetegui's salvage job make up for his turning his back just before the season, or is that the ultimate sin? So ranking, let's go from best to worst. Lodge, Lopetegui, Gary O'Neill, Vitor Pereira. Who wants to go first?
Lodge's style was so boring. Like, it ultimately turned out boring. So I'd still put him last. Probably Lopetegui. Man, that spring with Gary O'Neill was fun, guy. I mean, that first season with Gary O'Neill had some good moments. Yeah, it fell apart late. And then Vitor 6 in a row. If Vitor didn't have the 6 in a row, I'd actually probably put Gary O'Neill's ahead, but I'll put Vitor up top.
Okay. Paul, how would you rank them?
Just like hindsight's such a wonderful thing in some respects. I was looking at that like Large finishing 10th, thinking, oh, okay, maybe it wasn't that bad. But then you think about the destruction that he rained through that squad and like effectively bombing out Cody and the players not liking him or however he carried himself and all of that. So suddenly he gets knocked down. But then you're thinking, well, if he's last, are any of them any better than he was? So Lopetegui like really wasn't, because that was the shitty thing to do, to leave us in the mud, and all of that,
and screw over our Raul goodbye.
Yeah, those elements as well. He could have bombed out Nuri as well and got in Cresswell for West Ham and all this BS. So like it's I can't answer it. It's like who do you want to share a cell with out of all these serial killers? None of them.
Danny?
Yeah, I go. I'm always going to be a vibes person, so I think it's got to be something like Vitor, then Gary, then probably Lodge, then Lopetegui. I think Lodge and Lopetegui is harder to separate, but I really don't like the games that he played with Guillaume Balaguer during that summer, even though, was Jeff Shee lying to him? Very possibly. I can't prove one way or the other, but like, I just found that extremely distasteful. I also find it extremely distasteful when people in sports, whether they're coaches or players, are so self-promoting the way that he is. So I probably put him last, which is funny because I really rode that high of him saving us that season. That was a fun end of that season. But yeah, I think just in terms of vibes, maybe we'll learn things about Vitor after he's gone that make me sour on him. But the Points Then Pints has been really fun, and I think he's got a lot of the sort of squad management so far that we were hoping for. And again, like you said, the Gary O'Neill times, I think like he was out of his depth, but at least, it felt like the vibes were right. And he just sort of lost a handle on the squad.
Yeah, 100%. I put the exact same order as Danny, also kind of a vibes guy. I mean, Vitor hasn't done anything to really make us... we're all being very negative about the Vitor Pereira era for things that have nothing to really do with Vitor Pereira at this point. Like, it's mostly just to do with Fosun, so I'll separate him from that. And the only thing I would add that Danny didn't say, because I agree with all of it, is that I don't feel like... there's already been talk about this, if like he would walk out on Wolves. I think he is sadly already starting to learn the lesson about Fosun that other managers have. Now we do have Domenico Tetti, who hopefully will change some of that. But I think even if it went exactly the same way, I don't think he'd walk out on us. And that I respect. Like, I respect him as a guy. I respect that this is his dream destination. It's what I wish it could be for many people. It's what we love about players who come here and say that and epitomize that, like João Gomes, like for instance, is kind of living that right now. Mm-hmm. So I think he has to be number one. And then, it was really bad towards the end, and he said some things he probably regrets in the media, but I still have like a weird soft spot for Gary O'Neill. I really do. Like, I have no like of the feelies for Laj, and I think Lopetegui's a snake. Like I really just do. Like
Lodge was a dick. I really feel like Gary O'Neill.
he was just a
nice
hard
dude in the
person.
end.
Can you imagine him like the whole like points and the pints thing? I know that's like it's like now at this point just like a great Wolves marketing slogan, but I legitimately can't picture Laj doing that. Like I just don't feel like he's the kind of person that you can like really get to know that way. And like there was a lot of people in like reports that that's kind of how it was, that he was cold or whatever with players, and that's like part of his downfall. So yeah,
But he never lost that last
without
season.
a real number 9.
Without a real
right.
number 9.
Oh, what he would
Let's
do
remember.
with old Jurgen Strand-Larsen these days, right?
Oh man, the Champions League, baby.
We can wrap on this one, and maybe this is a good opportunity to allow for some optimism. But New England Wolves on X simply asks, are Wolves underdogs, or will they be the reason people start believing in underdogs this season?
We've always been underdogs. That's the reason a lot of Americans like myself chose Wolves, because we're underdogs, always going to be. And I do believe in underdogs. There's a lot of Americans that do. But underdogs, I still feel like there's fight. And I do think that fight is in the players, but I would need to see that fight with ownership to really get me believing in that these guys want to be underdogs and aren't just content to being, like Drew said, the Pittsburgh Pirates, where it's like, we're just going to collect our checks. It's hard to root for them, even though the players probably view themselves as underdogs, because management's just perfectly fine. Wolves are the epitome of underdog when they were making those runs to Europe, and that's what makes it fun. And I still feel at times last year Wolves were underdogs and had that spirit that we all like. I just want to see that again.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll take it a slightly different direction. I think, like I have been as pessimistic as most people on Twitter, about the season to come and the signings and whatnot. But I also think, we beat a Champions League team last season in preseason, and it didn't mean much for our start. And that was partly the schedule. But, basically all that is to say preseason games don't matter much. And I think that we saw last season, even towards the end when we had a little 4-game blip at the end where we weren't doing as hot, but Vitor has a pretty decent pragmatic style and has gotten us to, win games or draw games where we weren't playing particularly well. And so really it remains to be seen in the season. And obviously a lot of that depends on what we do in the remainder of the transfer window. But I still think that there is like cause to be at least cautiously optimistic, because I think nothing has really changed over the summer that's, changed our mind about how we think Vitor can set up this team and make them play.
How about Todd's comment there? We'd be a solid team if we would stop being our own worst enemy. That says it all right there.
Yep, it does. And that also concludes No Stupid Questions. Thanks to our friends at Esfuerzo Wines, esfuerzowines.com. Promo code Vitor for a 30% discount at checkout. And thanks to all who wrote in for the match week 1 edition.
That puts a bow on the episode. We're going to be back this time next week to break down everything that went on at Molineux during that famous 8-1 victory against the grey rain jersey wearing Manchester City team. And then probably preview that expected loss when we go away to Bournemouth the following Saturday. So thanks to Alex producing, Danny on the socials, you the listener, because it wasn't for you there would not be a show or a live stream. If you've not headed over to YouTube especially, please follow the channel and get notifications for when we go live and add content on there. Our subscribers help with getting the exposure of a whole lot of Wolves out there. Once again, we look forward to catching up with each and every one of you next week. And until then, up the mighty walls.